All right, guys, here we go. This is the recap show for October 22nd, 2025, and we had a crushing day. This was a pretty awesome day. A lot of people made some pretty good money. And what I want to do is, before I get into this Palantir trade, you can see I'm hanging on to one contract. I'm going to try to get down to the 170 level. We're up 145% right now. Probably trimmed a little bit early on this one here for the move, but, you know, it is what it is. I'll keep playing it to the downside. We'll let it play out for the day. So I guess before I get into the CIZs, let's talk about this Palantir trade. I did take like 3 or 4 trades today. I can't even remember. But let's talk about this Palantir trade. So we got into Palantir here. You can see that we had the pre-market high, the pre-market low marked out. I had this red fair value gap underneath the 50 SMA. Now here's the deal is, this was supposed to be a CIZ trade, okay, because we were counter trending. We were moving against the trend on the 5 and the 90 second, okay? You can see at the 50 in front of that here. And we did have a bullish move also on the 90, but the bearish move was on the 15 minutes. So a little bit ambiguous, but I wasn't expecting such a big move on Palantir. And that's part of the reason why I trimmed big, is I was expecting the CIZ trade right here. And let me get this in here. Okay, I was expecting a move to the CIZ. So when I got into the trade here, right, I didn't take this fair value gap here. This wasn't going to work. And then once we broke, you can see we had the cross over here. The 20 crossed the 50. We had a slew of fair value gaps in here, but wasn't going to take any of these, right? Until we broke the pre-market low, right? This is where we started to get into the trade. And then once we broke the 20, you can see the rest is history, the 9 and the 20. And she started to move. My goal was to get down to the CIZ. And so that's why I trimmed most of them off, but it kept on going, and kept on going. So this Palantir was a massive move. It goes to show you why you need to keep trailers. You know, they don't always work, but when the trailers do work, it pays for the ones that don't work, times 2, times 3, times 4. Okay, so you're always better off hanging onto those trailers for the rest of the day. 155%, not bad. It's $450 per contract, you guys. Not bad at all. So that's the Palantir trade of the day. Let's go to MSTR. Took MSTR also. Let's talk about the MSTR trade. Now, MSTR, let's start with the 90. And you can see we got a bullish sentiment. But as we're coming into the open here, the 9 EMA is crossing. It's trying to cross below the 20. The 20 is also curving down. You can see everything's kind of moving to the downside here. Okay, so as we're coming in, we have a bearish move on the 15, right? And we're showing bearish at the open on the 5 minute, okay? So that in itself, as price goes up, is making me think that we're going to get a CIZ trade, okay? A couple little scalp trades to the upside here to the CIZ. And then once we got to the CIZ, I reversed it and got in to the CIZ once we broke below the 9. Took a starter a little bit before. I had a big drawdown, had 100 contracts, took this to the downside. Also got out of this one early too, okay? So you can see that we had the 90 and the 9 break the 50. We had the red fair value gaps, and we had a clean move to the downside, breaking low a day, getting down to the pre-market low. So really, my goal was not to hang on to too many contracts too deep here, okay? Ended up getting a little bit early on this one here, but once again, it was a little choppy, a little soupy in here, so was able to cut it. Made it for it on Palantir, though. So that was MSTR. So we had a good trade on MSTR, you guys. Now, if you're playing by the rules, exactly by the rules, there's really no reason to not get green on these unless you're mismanaging. And if you're new, your biggest hurdle is going to be learning how to manage the trade and getting in and getting your entries correct. Okay, we have a green fair value gap right here on MSTR. Like I said, price does move up. We did get that retest of the 9 the 20 EMA. And it moves back up again. And this is just a tiny little run. But depending on how many contracts you had, it's a decent winner. All right. Let's go on to Meta. Meta was another winning trade today. a couple different directions. Looking at the, oh yeah, we're breaking my level here. Hang on, I got to look at Palantir here for just a second. Palantir, we're up 205%. You guys, $600 per contract. You know, if I had 3 contracts left, I think I might end up, you can see right here, this is Palantir in the upper left-hand side, and it's up 200%. So I might just call it a day on that one, get rid of that last contract. It is at an important level. Let's see if I do the right thing here. So Palantir is going away. It's gone. So not a bad day of trading on Palantir at all. All right, let's go back to Meta here. So I am flat everything, you guys. First thing I want to look at is the 90-minute, which is showing bullish. We are showing bullish on the 90-minute. We got twisted moving averages on the 15, twisted moving averages on the 5. That tells me there's a good chance we're going to get a CIZ. Now, I would have loved to have gotten a move to the downside on Meta at the CIZ. That would have really helped us out with a move to the upside. However, it did go up, right? Now, the 90 is showing the moving averages pretty good, right? They're far apart, so we are showing bullish. So I was expecting maybe a little bit of a bullish play here. But because we had the twisted moving averages, I don't want to take it too far, right? I'm only going to take it up to the CIZ because there's a good chance I'm going to get a pullback, okay? And but you don't know, right? It is bullish on the higher time frame. So I was going to take my chances on this one. Normally I wouldn't take this, I don't think, but I had already been green on some other trades I took earlier. So I wanted to try this one here to the upside. And you can see that the 20 is above the 50 SMA, right? We got our first fair value gap here, but we're below the pre-market high, okay? I want to break through it. So once we break through it, I get in this trade here about 951-ish, and I take it to the upside, and I scale it up here. And I'm getting ready now to convert to a CIZ trade to take to the downside, okay? So I end up getting out of the trade here. I did try to hang on to a trailer for a bigger run. It does end up going higher, but because it goes higher, it goes too high. It goes above the CIZ, right? Doesn't go below the 90 EMA, so I don't even have an entry here. But I ended up moving over to Palantir and taking Palantir, which you've seen earlier. And I will show the play on Palantir and MSTR and the other one that I have up here. You can see the replay here in just a minute. But I decided not to take this one. But if you were going to take it, it's not an A-plus trade, but it is decent. If you're only focused on Meta, there's a good chance you could have gotten this trade right here. Once it broke below the 9 EMA, has a red fair value gap. Here's your entry right in here, and you get a nice, decent move to the downside. Now, if you're playing the continuation strategy piece or adding to the trade, you would want to wait, obviously, till we get the crossover, right? We want to confirm a bigger trend. So we do get the crossover, but the fair value gap comes before the crossover. So now we have to wait for either A, another fair value gap that's red, or a retest of the 20 EMA. Well, we don't get the red fair value gap, and we do not get the retest. It fails and moves back up, touches the 50 SMA and the pre-market high and the crush it zone, right? So now we're back to square one. We got to wait for another break to the downside and wait for that red fair value gap. You get our first red fair value gap here, and then when that candle closes, you can see price starts to move back towards you. When price is moving towards you, we don't want to enter the trade. Now, if you look at this in a smaller time frame, you're going to see that on the 10-second chart that this is moving towards you, and we're going to wait. We're going to keep our eye on the 90-second here, wait for the right candle to enter, and you can either enter somewhere in here on this fair value gap right here, or this rejection of the 20 EMA, but there's plenty of spots to enter, okay? You just have to, enter at some point here. You just have to enter. I mean, I know you want to wait for the right candle. You want to wait for the right time. We hesitate. I mean, for all we know, this thing could have kept going to the downside. We maybe didn't have that retest of the 20 EMA. So you just got to be careful, okay? And make sure that you get into the trade closer to your stop than farther away from your stop. I don't know if that made sense, but at any rate, so here's your entry and you got your continuation of the downside. Now, the question is do you get stopped out here in between the 50 and the 20 with these green fair value gaps? Normally I would. It's a little choppy. It's hard to say, but if I look over at the 5 minute here, you can see that I get this continuation. I do get a red fair value gap and I get a green fair value gap. But the green fair value gap here, let me blow this up here so you can see it a little bit better. This needs to be above the 20. This means nothing if it's below the 20. All it means here on below the 20 is that we're coming back for a retest, and it's exactly what it does for the bigger move to the downside. Okay, so you can definitely look at the 5-minute. Okay, if you have smaller trailers and you want to take this for the bigger move, I would definitely be looking at the 5-minute. But if you're looking for a sharp move, a quick move in a small account, and you can't afford the risk or the exposure, then you're most likely going to get out of this trade right in here. Okay, so that's Meta. Stay tuned, right? We had a good day of trading. Stay tuned. I'm going to show you some of the trades I made today, and let me know what you think. All right, take care, and we'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning. MSTR, you'll definitely be starting the drawdown because of the spreads. But let's see how this CIZ works out. So if you look at the CIZ on MSTR, we are hitting the 50 SMA and the 15. So we are counter trending, right? We are showing bullish on the 5, and we were showing bullish on the 90-second, obviously. And we are bullish on the larger time frame. So the 15 is the only one. So if you do get a CIZ, we might only be looking at a little bit of a short run here. Probably down to the ORB, if anything, on the 15-minute. So it's starting to work out. There we go. Just waiting. We want MSTR on the 90-second or the 1-minute, whichever you're on, to get below that 9 EMA. If we can get below that 9 EMA, we'll be looking good. Be nice if we can get some crossover on this RSI too. Meta's pushing back to high today. There goes MSTR down to the 9. MSTR holding that 9 EMA on the 90-second there. Nice big comeback candle. Giving it back up. Need that to break the 9. Good job on Meta. Those of you that are still in Meta, looking good. Over high a day. Your Meta trade is $7.65. Once again, our buy-in on that was $6.25. Well over $100 per contract. Meta is to the moon. How you doing on that, Pappy? I think you're in that Meta trade, right? You should be doing good. Make sure you're trimming. You got to take profits. Don't forget to take profits. There we go. Here's our break of the 9 on there. We'll look for the 20 EMA on MSTR. Okay. There we go. We're up over $3,000 on this. So we'll take most of it off. Taking most of those off, up $4,500, taking almost all of them off. I have 10 contracts left, 100 contracts left with 10, We're up 6.91%. And so now we'll just hold these trailers for a second if we get the break below the 20 EMA. A little choppy. Pretty good setup here in MSTR. We have contradicting moving averages. We had the 100-200 pass on the 92nd, and you had the crush it zone there. So we had some good confluence, right? $100 contracts. We're down to 10. So now we got some room to move. We can hang on without freaking out. Same thing with Meta. If you're on your trailers on Meta, you should be doing good. You know, no need to freak out. You should have booked pretty much most of your profits. Here we go. Take a few more off on Meta here, or I'm sorry, on MSTR. There we go. Look at that. Nice CIZ play on MSTR, you guys. Couldn't have played it any better. Taking a few more off. Just down to 2 trailers on here. Once again, you know, the larger time frame on the 90 is showing bullish. We haven't gotten over the 20 EMA, but the 9 is coming into the 20. So we may have some more momentum to the downside, but I'm not going to risk it. I'm just down to 2 contracts on this. $5,000 trade on 100 contracts. So you can see you got $190 right now on 2 contracts. So this is all being recorded. You can watch this live, or not live. You can watch the replay of what we did here live. So you're on the watch list here. So here's the dotted lines here. This is the 100 and the 200 on the 5-minute here. And, you know, once we get that break of the 100, so you got about a 90% chance when you break the 100, you're going to see the 200 at some point. And you can see we had a direct shot there. Plus we had the CIZ in there. And we're in stop out mode, which is CIZ. And if we stay below the 20, we'll be good on those last couple contracts. And we can look for a bigger move to the downside. So we'll hang on to those trailers. We'll see what's going to happen. But we've already got a big win for the day on MSTR, Meta, and NVIDIA. So the only one I don't have recorded here, you guys, is the one on Meta. I had that on a different platform. So come back here and we'll see how this plays out. You can see here we're up over 12% on the MSTR trade. Just sitting here waiting. All right, you guys, I'm just going to, we'll flatten out here on MSTR. A little bit too much volatility there, so we'll flatten out on that. Call it a day. These setups take place every single day on multiple tickers. You have to know how to get in on them. It's not that difficult, I don't think, once you understand it. But trading in itself is difficult. I get that. So, but we're out of the trade. We're trying to get out of it anyways. So there we go. There you have it. Nice win on MSTR, Meta, and NVIDIA. Guys, what do you think about that Palantir trade? Do you think that's worth a trade right there? Get a nice level down here. See if we can get down to that descending trend line. Got a level at about 177.45. Be a very interesting trade here. Imagine if you had 100 contracts. That would be all you needed right there. That was all you needed for 100 contracts on Palantir. Not looking at Hood anymore. There we go. Palantir's looking really good, you guys. Not big into coins, so I'll put Hood back up there. So just an FYI, 100 contracts on Palantir would have paid $2,200 right now. I got a slew of videos coming out here tonight that you're going to see on all of the trades that I took today. It's going to be a surprise. I'm going to show you how well 100 contracts works out. So we see if Palantir breaks at 177.50 area. If you do have an X account, all these videos will be posted on there. You can see them 24/7. 100 contracts would be paying $3,700 right now on Palantir. If that breaks, you'd be looking really good. Now, you wouldn't hang on to these 100 contracts for a bigger move. You would definitely take that $3,700 and enjoy your day. I don't know the exact number I'm up, but I'll find out at the end of the day here, and I'll post it in the video so you can see it. So make sure you stick around for the recap today, you guys. It's going to be a good one. A lot of good insights, I believe. Look at that nice move on Palantir. We want that to break. We want it to break. Hopefully you guys can hear me, correct? Sorry, I didn't have the, I'm recording this. I did not have the Palantir up. We are hitting the CIZ on Palantir right now. So that is a good trim spot. Once again, 100 contracts. $6,700, $6,800. And not unrealistic at all. Not unrealistic. So on Palantir, we're going against the grain, right? We have the 20 crossing over the 50, but we are going against the grain. We will look and see if it does produce, right, a CIZ trade here. But everything is looking pretty heavy. Pretty heavy. So we're up over 21% on Palantir right now. Do the math. Good trade. So we've had plenty of good trades today, you guys. MSTR, Meta, NVIDIA, Tesla Hood, now Palantir. Yep, MSTR to the downside. I had MSTR I did take earlier to the upside. I took the 100 to 200 pass to the pre-market. That was a trade. And then I also took the CIZ. I also took Meta. I also took NVIDIA. So 26% on Palantir here, guys. 28%, 27%. 34%. Right. So if you had 100 contracts here that you were still holding, which you wouldn't be, you'd be $10,000, $12,000 here on Palantir. So anybody take that Palantir trade? It was a phenomenal trade. Break of the pre-market low. You had the fair value gaps in there. The crossover, everything looked really good on Palantir. Look at the stacking you have on here. Here's your break of the pre-market. Got it below the pre-market low. SPY QQQs were diving, right? They're still diving. We are up 45% on Palantir. So we'll ride this down as much as we can here now. Let that trailer run. Just two of them, but we'll let them run. You know, some of the days you just feel it and you got it. You can see it. Other days you can't get a win for nothing. Today is one of those days. You get them going up and we get them going down. Looking at Tesla for 432.50-ish. I'm not taking the trade. I'm going to just watch it. But we got a win on MSTR also to the downside at the CIZ. So we went from one CIZ to the next. So that was a awesome winning trade. I'm already out of the trade. But MSTR CIZ was a kick-ass trade. Good job on Hood. I know, Amir, you're taking Hood. That thing is also just following suit. Everything is moving down. So, I mean, really at this point, whatever ticker you're in, you're probably doing half-ass decent on it. But remember, take profits. Take profits. Be a profit taker. We still got plays going on. 38% on Palantir. Boy, a little bit of FOMO. I mean, you can only take one trade at a time, right? Maybe two. But you're looking at some of these other ones and you get FOMO. Got FOMO on Tesla. I thought that was a good trade to the downside, but I was already in some other ones. I thought Palantir was the better one to the downside. We're up over 52% on Palantir. Let's keep her riding. I wish I had some more trailers. Tesla hitting a target, 432.50-ish. Hit its target. You probably got a target here on Hood, probably the 50 SMA on the daily. So I would try to hold to 122.50 on Hood if you can. See if we can get that move to the downside, at least on a trailer. I mean, if you took, depending on how many contracts you took, you should be holding at least 5% to 10% on that Hood trade. And we'll put these over. Let me switch screens here. Here's the watch list. A little bit easier to see. Palantir up over 55%. Man, you got to be up. You got to be up about 30-40% on Hood also on that break. Good job on Palantir, Ryan. You're in a small account, so you took profits early, which is fine. That's good. You want profits. You don't want to overexpose yourself in a small account. It could backfire on you. So the thing is, if you get yourself to a point where you can take 20 or 30 contracts, it allows you to have a trailer to hang on for these bigger moves. But if you're in a small account, you really can't afford the exposure. You have to take profits, or at least get to your target. So good job on that one. We're still sitting at 55% on Palantir. Price is moving up just a little bit. I already made my money on it, so there's no need to, jump the gun and sell these. I'll let them go all the way back up to 177.50 if I need to here. Nice slide though. 10:30 in the morning. What time did that slide start at? About 10:12. Maybe about 10 o'clock-ish, a little about 10 after 10. Nice slide. Nice slide, you guys. About anywhere from 10:10 to 10:20, depending on what ticker you're looking at. Nice slide to the downside. Pretty much everything. We crushed it today. All right, guys. So I'm going to just hang on to these Palantirs for a while. I'll let you know how it ends up. But I'm going to end the recording here on Palantir. You can see we're up 45%. We're down to 2 contracts on it. This Friday's expirations. And I'll let you know how that ends up. But they're just 2 trailers. I'll write them up for the day, for the whole day. We'll see how they go. But they will be sold before the end of the day today, okay? Grinder. It's a slow grinder, up over 71% for the day on these trailers. We're just going to let them ride out for the rest of the day and see if we can get a bigger move on these. But these are up over 74% now. So we're just going to keep hanging on. We'll see what happens here. Grinder. It's a slow grinder, up over 71% for the day on these trailers. We're just going to let them ride out for the rest of the day and see if we can get a bigger move on these. But these are up over 74% now. So we're just going to keep hanging on. We'll see what happens here. So here we go, you guys. We got Palantir coming into the 50 right there. So I'm going to take one of these contracts up over 138% on Palantir. So let's just take one off here. I wish, obviously, I would have had a little bit more trailers on it, but good practice here. I'll be holding these ones here. So we got rid of that one. They're up over about 149%, so not bad. Those are about $400 per contract, a little over $400 per contract on Palantir. So got one left. I do have a level down here. Let me put the watch list up here real quick so you can see that. Here's Palantir here. I do have a level down here at 160 and 170. So if we get that last contract on to 170, we'll dump that one there and we'll call it a day. So once again, we're up about 150% on Palantir.